What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Life in the Word. My name is Lydia, and I'm so excited for the journey that you and I are taking together as we dive deeper into the Word of God and we increase in our devotion to Him, but also as we learn to live our lives according to God's standard. Okay? Because it's not just about knowing the Word. It's about applying the Word to our lives. So today's video is going to be a little different. We're not going to be jumping into straight Bible or biblical terms, but today I'm going to be telling you guys about my Christian dating experience. Y'all, so this journey, I was doing something, I forgot what I was doing, but the Lord just dropped it in my spirit. I feel like I was just in the bathroom or something like that. But God dropped in my spirit, you need to record this video because it's not something that we talk about very often in the church community. And it's something that needs to be said. And as a young woman, of course, I'm 23, still growing up. But also I'm a 23-year-old that is standing and vowing to live for a standard of holiness and to live a life that is pleasing unto God. Why not tell my story? Why not talk about what I go through, what I've gone through, what lessons I've learned, and all of those things so I can help someone along the way, someone who is my age, who's not my age, even someone that's older than me, and just to share my story and my testimony, all right? So if you want to know about my Christian dating experience, continue to watch this video, all right? Okay, so to start off this conversation, to know about my experience, I kind of have to tell a little bit about my background. I come from the COGIC Church. That's the Pentecostal church, the Holiness Church, the Holy Rollers, the tongue-talking, foot-stomping, that church, right? The purity class was basically the group of teenagers within the church, right? And so, growing up at my church back in Michigan, Christian dating was not a thing. I'm just gonna say it. Christian dating was not a thing. And again, this is just from my experience, from what I saw, what I've grown up. Christian dating wasn't a thing. It seemed like if you had a boyfriend, the people at church thought you were having sex. I didn't. And yeah, so Christian dating wasn't a thing. So growing up as a young woman in the church, we were always taught to just keep ourselves, not to focus on books, not boys. Those were some of the lessons that I was taught. There was really no teaching on dating. It was really teaching on focusing on God, and which is all great things. Come on, this is Life in the Word. Focusing on God is the first thing that we're trying to do with our lives, okay? But they really weren't talking about dating. At least I was not given training on dating while I was coming up in the church. But within the church, but I'm so grateful for a mother who, what I was not taught within purity class or church sessions, I was taught at home. Even though my mom still ain't let me date. But I was still taught that my mom would do this weird thing. She would come up and she would whisper, "Hey baby, how you doing?" Like literally be like, "Yeah, mama got my ear." And I'd be like, right. So when that boy come and whisper in your ear, you know what to do. Run away the same way you ran from me. So my mom would do stuff like that. And I remember I was sitting with some of the older young people at my church. I was probably in middle school, so they were like in high school, like about to graduate, go to college. I remember my mom asked them a question. She said, "Would you rather be stuck on an island with your best friend or with a stranger?" And everybody was like, "Sister Ford, why would you ask us that?" Of course, my mom, she's a pilot now, but I was like, "Why would you ask us that?" Of course, we want to be stuck on the island with our best friend. Who want to be stuck with a stranger on an island? Oh my God. And Mom was like, exactly. So stop getting in these islands of relationships with strangers and take time to get to know a person to become their best friend or to become friends with that person before you jump into this island of relationship. And it shook us. It shook them, and it shook me to my core. And I remember that conversation to this day, even though it wasn't had with me. And so with going into relationships and even thinking about dating, I made sure that I wasn't just saying I was girlfriends or boyfriends with a person without them being my friend first, because I was not going to jump on the island of relationship with a stranger instead of when I could get in the island of relationship with my best friend or with a friend. So when I was in middle school, there was this guy that I called myself dating. I had met him from a church related function. Him and his mom sung with the choir, was really she fellowshiped with the music department within my church and my district a lot, helped with our local choir. And so I found myself dating her son. And my mom went on this cruise, and she ended up leaving, and I was at my dad's house while my mom was on her cruise. And while my mom was on her cruise, I decided that me and my boyfriend was gonna come over to my dad's house, and I was planning all these things I was gonna do with him, not sexual things, but hanging out with him, stuff that I could not do when I was with my mom, but my mom was out of town, so I was gonna do it, right? And so I went to dance practice. I went to praise dance practice, used to praise dance, and I never forget this story. This story completely changed my life. The way that my home church is the front doors, there's a vestibule that has like the stairs that lead downstairs to the church basement and fellowship hall, and then to the right is the women's bathroom, and then it's the doors to enter the actual sanctuary. So while I was at dance practice in the sanctuary, I had to use the restroom, so of course I was about to come out the sanctuary door, and as the sanctuary door closed, I heard this loud voice within me yell, "How dare you!" And it shook me to my core. And God was talking to me. He said, "How dare you lie to your mother and lie to me and pretend that you're doing what you're supposed to do?" Shook me to my core. I don't even remember if I went to the bathroom after that. I feel like I didn't, because I was so scared. That was the first time that I heard God speak to me like that, so vividly. I ran back in the sanctuary, and as soon as dance practice was over, we went back to my dad's house. I called the guy, or I messaged him over, and I was like, "Can you come over? I really need to talk to you." And I said, we sat down again, homegirls in middle school, like 7th, 8th grade, I want to say 8th grade. Sat him down, sitting in my dad's front lawn, and I'm like, "So I can't do this. God needs me to not do this." God literally yelled at me a couple hours ago, and I just need to focus on my relationship with Christ and what God has called for me to do. When I'm ready to date, I'm gonna let you know, of course. And so it's not happened. Yeah, but so he was like, "Yeah, I understand." I was like, "It's not you, but I value my relationship with Christ more." And it's crazy that this happened when I was in 8th grade. I was probably like, I don't know, like 13, 14 when this happened. And so I remember after that, he was like, "I understand, da 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 da." After that, I went back to school. I was sitting at the lunch table, and I remember I was talking to my best friends. I love Desiree, Dominique, Tanaja. I was talking to them, and I was like, "Y'all, I'm going on up. I'm giving this covenant to God. I'm not gonna date until I have my associate's degree. Do it with me." And they was like, "I'm not gonna do that. But you go ahead, girl." And so my 8th grade, after that experience, I committed myself, and I made a covenant with God that I would not date a guy. I would not date anyone. Hello. I would not date anyone until after I had my associate's degree, because I felt that, because I knew that I had accepted the call to serve God and to walk into the ministry He had given me at a young age, that I needed that time to truly dedicate myself to Christ, to dedicate myself to what he had called me to, and that boys would be a distraction for me. And I also had a feeling that I would marry young as well. So, and I was like, I at least want to have one degree, because who knows, I can graduate from my associate's degree and end up married in the next couple of years. So I at least wanted to have something established. So I made the covenant with God that I would not date until I got my associate's degree in college. I stuck to that covenant. I'll just break the news. I stuck to that covenant, but in that time, I had a lot of friends. So my mom grew up, the way my mom grew up, her best friends were her guy friends. And so for me, I knew that you could genuinely have a man as a friend and not catch feelings. So that's what I did. But what I did not know is that even though I don't have feelings, doesn't mean that another person cannot catch feelings. But I always maintained a good relationship with Christ, and kept my distance, didn't really date. My mama didn't let me go out on dates, couldn't hang out with people one-on-one. That was just the holiness way, okay? We didn't date. We didn't do all of that. Mama would always say, dating leads to marriage. You ready to watch a man draws? If you ain't ready to watch some draws, you don't need to be dating, because we date for marriage. We don't date to just stay around. Okay? And I'm so glad she told me that, because it's such a standard for me now that I knew that when I started dating, if I was not ready for that, then I was not going to entertain that. And if I did not see the person that I was considering dating as someone that I would marry, they would not be a contender, because as a person in holiness, we do not date just to date around. We date for marriage, because we know that marriage is a covenant, and that whoever we connect to as Christians, whoever we connect to is a divine connection, and it could be divinely positive or divinely negative. My sophomore year of high school, I went to the COGIC convention, which was in Baltimore, Maryland, and I met this guy, and we became friends, and we were friends for literally for the rest of high school for about 4 years. We were friends, and it was so awesome to me, and I cherished that friendship, because for the first time I had a guy that, after I told them that I had this covenant with God that I wasn't going to date until after I had my associate's degree, that he stayed. He was my friend, and he didn't just leave and stop talking to me after 2 weeks like almost everybody else did. And so it was really cool, and God really gave me such an awesome friendship, and taught me how to build relationship with him in that moment. It was really cool. It was really cool. In my mind, even though I said I was following my covenant and we weren't technically dating, homegirl had the feels. He had the feels too.